Hello, mate. You alright?
Oh, hello, hello.
How's it
All good,
going?
mate. You?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good, mate. So,
Glad to hear.
today's episode is being a full-time creator, like yourself, as you are, you know that you're a full-time creator. You know what I mean?
That's funny enough. I actually do.
You
Yeah,
do
mate,
know
yeah.
that. Okay, good. That's good. We're off to a good start then. So do you want to introduce yourself, mate?
Yeah. So I'm Black Boy, and I've been a full-time content creator for is it two years now, I think. I've been streaming since 2019. So I was like 3 years not full-time, 2 years full-time. Yeah, mainly play Apex, trying to branch out into some variety. Yeah, that's basically me.
Okay, mate. So we're going to get into the first question.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how/why you started streaming, i.e. your early days of content and your journey.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. So, like I said, I started streaming back in I think it was 2019. I think it was even March. I think it was March 2019. I got affiliate. I think I started streaming in like February, end of January. And originally, I started streaming on Xbox just to like stream to my friends. So, like, my friends wanted to watch me play a game or they wanted to see what I was doing. I just streamed to them. And I never thought, I love streaming or whatever. I'd always watched streams probably since I was about 15, 16, and it was something I liked watching, but never knew I'd enjoy it. So that's how it started. I was on Xbox for until August 2020, so like a year and a bit. I streamed straight from the Twitch app on Xbox, and literally I just played like whatever I wanted. So I was playing like NBA 2K, I was playing FIFA, I was playing Apex, I was playing Call of Duty. Basically any game that was on my Xbox, I'd just stick it on stream. And then the more I started streaming, or the more I kept streaming, so I kept like meeting people and talking to people, making connections, people to play with. And then I started an Instagram account and I started uploading to Instagram because I was like, okay, well, this seems what everyone else is doing. I can have like a collection of my clips together, not really thinking about, oh, this is going to be like good for growth. It was more like to just keep my clips there. And yeah, then I met some people off Instagram. I met people like UK Bear, so one of our good friends. So I met Bear through Instagram, through like the hashtag Apex Legends tag on Instagram. And we started playing together on Xbox. And then I switched to PC, started taking it a bit more serious. But yeah, the early days were literally just streaming to other people. Like didn't think anything of it. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is gonna be my job. I want this to be my job. At the time I was working for the government, so I was fully employed. So yeah.
Okay. So you streamed. How long did you say you streamed on Xbox for? A year and a half? Did you say?
Yeah.
Off the Twitch app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to work Monday to Friday, and then I used to do 2 nights a week. I used to do Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 6 to 8 p.m. And they were my streaming days during the week. And then I used to stream on the weekend. I used to do like more or less all day, like Saturday and Sunday, if I wasn't going out or anything. But yeah, that was it. And that was like my little streaming schedule that I had whilst I was employed.
Working. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So did you just enjoyed it as soon as you started doing it then, did you? Would you just like instantly like fall in love with it and wanted to do it constantly, or was it like progressively?
Yeah.
Like you just did it from the start and thought, right, okay, I'm enjoying this, and then you were like slowly like building up to going full time, or like getting a PC, etc.
Yeah, exactly that. Like when I started, I didn't think that I'd enjoy it as much as I did, and then I think it took like a few months, and I was like, oh, actually, no, this is like I enjoy this, and also it was keeping me like in the house. And it was I started during lockdown, but then obviously when lockdown went, oh no, I started the year before lockdown, but it was keeping me from like going out like to the pub and stuff and spending all my money and doing silly things. It was keeping me in over the weekend, and I was like, and I started like enjoying it as a hobby. And then that kind of like just doing it repetitively and seeing what other people were doing and trying to learn and trying to improve my stream and watching my VODs back and stuff and like trying to actually get better at it was just like part of it. Like it was something I just fell in love with and I just wanted to kind of improve at it.
Like the addictive side of wanting to get better, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That like just drive to just like want to improve and just like see what you can do.
Right. Yeah. So when did you start playing like sort of like FPS games? When was like your main game sort of you thought, right, I want to stick with this? Because obviously you said you played like NBA and a few other games as well. When was like the first game you were sort of like, right, okay, I want to constantly play this game?
It's Apex Legends. So Apex dropped out of nowhere. I think it was April 2019. I think so. Not long after I started streaming, and then that became the game that I primarily streamed. I would still chuck up like the odd variety stream because at the time, you know, I was just doing whatever. I wasn't thinking, oh, people are coming to watch us play Apex. So I was like, I'll just play whatever game I want to play. It wasn't probably until just before I switched to PC, so like season 6 of Apex, where I was up playing Apex like majority of my streams and not really doing much variety. But even like since then, like I play Apex primarily, but I try and like if there's a game that I want to play and it comes out, I'm playing it. Do you know what I mean? And I'll play it until I get bored of it or until I want to move on. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think building a community off of one game is easier than doing a community based off of a variety of games.
Yeah,
people
100%.
come and watch you for that game. But I do think there's a lot of value in doing a mixture. So whether you're, you know, let's say, for example, like now, like I'm trying to transition from just Apex to doing Apex and other things as well, so that I just kind of have a wider audience as opposed to just FPS games, and that's it.
Yeah, 100%. I do agree with that.
Actually.
Go on, Krim.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been playing a lot more indie games recently as well, and Horizon Zero Dawn as well.
Yeah.
What was the one that you were playing before? It was like Nightingale. Was that the one?
Yeah, Nightingale. Yeah, that was getting another one of those
Power
games that
Team.
came out. Yeah, Power. Exactly. Like anything that comes out that I want to play, like I'll stream it. But I'm trying to now build build on my brand that I've built and turn it not just from like that guy who plays Apex
Yeah.
to I play Apex, but I also, you know, play other games, and also like now obviously I've got my second YouTube channel which I'm now uploading like my playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn on like daily
Nice.
upload. So I started that like a few days ago, and I'm just trying to like basically any game I play now, that even if it's single player, co-op, whatever it is, record it, edit it, get it up on the second YouTube channel. So then at least even if people aren't seeing the live streams, people might come across the videos on YouTube and then they might come to the live streams, and it just means I'm trying to cast my net. It's more work, but I'm just trying to cast my net, you know.
I actually
further.
find it like a lot more respectable when people decide to branch out, and when they don't want to just stick to one game, that they even though they like it and they don't necessarily want to be playing it all the time, they will still play it constantly, and they won't actually branch out on their stream because they're too afraid of what it will do to their numbers. So
Yeah.
I respect it a lot. It takes a lot of confidence to actually branch out, and the thing is, a risk like that is what can help people grow. And I think a lot of people don't realize it. So yeah, it's really
a lot of people get stuck in like they're like they want change, but they're so comfortable with what they have. So I don't know. So for example, you know, there's a streamer he's got, I don't know, 25, 30 viewers, right? And then he switches to Minecraft and his viewers drop to 5, and then he's like, oh no, that's not good. Like I can't do that. But ultimately, like it's just you have to attack it differently. Like I've obviously when I change games, I drop probably like 10, 15 viewers, something like that, maybe more. But ultimately, that's not what I'm doing it for, and that's like I have to think of like the long term. If you just think of the short term and the now, then you're never gonna get to where you want to go, because you're gonna be so focused on like, oh, that's not good, like that's bad that I can't do that. You have to go, oh, that's bad, but it will improve. Like, you know, I can still do my other things, but I have to add and like change things and try different things along the way.
It is definitely scary though, 100%. Like, especially when you base your whole community around a game. If you branch off to a game that's completely different to that, it's very hard to like translate the people that are going to come and watch you on that game. Which is why I sometimes don't understand when people, when they main a game, they'll have like their camera off, or they won't speak much. Like, you ain't ever going to be able to get, like, if you want to get your personality across into another game, it's hard if you're just maining one game and just doing that sole game. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people have to understand as well, is even if you do have a like game that you primarily play and you love it, I would still, you know, if there's another game that you enjoy playing, I would still like advise doing like 1 day a week, which is what I'm going to try to start doing, like 1 to 2 days a week, where I play a different game that isn't a main game, just so that when it comes to that transition period, like when it comes to, let's say, you know, for example, Apex dies tomorrow, everyone stops playing it, viewership dies on Twitch, they close down the servers, right? what are you gonna what's gonna be the next move? And that's something that I kind of wasn't ever thinking about. Like, it wasn't until probably like a year and a half ago where I started to have those thoughts. Okay, well, what if Apex dies? What do I do after that? And yeah, people are like, oh yeah, just transition to COD. But I hate COD. I think COD's an awful game. I don't just want to play it because it's an FPS shooter, and that's what I built my. I want to play games that I enjoy. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something different. So then, even if I do 1 day a week and you do 1-2 days a week, at least then you're building a little bit of an audience. It might only be like 5-6 extra people that come to your stream, but when you go to transition, the 5-6 that you lost who only watch you because you play Apex will be made up by the 5-6 that you gain because you've been playing a variety of games, and that's the sort of content that they like to consume.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I feel like sometimes people don't, like, they want to see you do other things because it's different, like, sorts of, like, not getting out your comfort zone, but different, like, sides of you that you don't see. Like, if someone's just playing a strictly solo game, it's going to be completely different to if someone's ranking on Apex, or if they're, you know, doing whatever on Apex. Like, it's different sides of you, and, like, you get, sometimes if you play, like, solo games, or, like, you're playing something that's not an FPS game, you give more attention to your chat rather than just solely relying on the game, because Apex is very, like, you know, have to focus constantly because there's so much going on, like, all the time. Yeah. It's hard to think of, like, your chat and the game at the same time. That's what I find difficult sometimes. And
I was gonna say, that was pretty something. Go on.
I would say, especially when you're with people as well, like when you're talking with someone, it's literally like being in a room of 50 odd people, how many people have, and having like 6 or 7 different conversations. In real life, that would never work because you physically cannot do that. You can't focus on that many things. So obviously, when you're ranking with people, you don't want to ignore them. You want to like focus on the game, but you also want to focus on chat at the same time. It can get like a bit
overstimulating.
Yeah, 100%. I remember you saying. I remember you saying recently, actually, you find it hard to remember things because there's so much stuff going through your brain when you stream.
Yeah.
That when you come off, you forget to do it, or like you cannot remember certain things.
I genuinely believe there needs to be like some research done, because I do believe that, like, as a streamer, if you're a streamer, I do believe it affects your memory, like, just because of the amount of information and conversations you have and the amount of information your brain processes. I just, like, since I've started streaming and I was taking it more seriously and I was streaming like 30-40 hours a week or whatever, like, my brain just turned to mush. Like, I used to have like really good memory. I barely remember anything anymore. Like, I have to write everything down because the likelihood is I'll forget it. Like, people aren't reminding me, I'll forget things. We can have a conversation about something in chat like today, and then you'll say, about tomorrow, and I'll be like, what are you talking about? And then you have to remind me what it is, because I've read like 50 messages that day of different messages, and I'm just not going, like, that person said that, remember it. That person said that, because not everything you need to remember. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. It is with like streaming as well. I know you'll probably feel this as well. Sometimes people, like, they know you, but they're not sort of in your community of like people that are there constantly. So when they come in, they want to solely talk to you. So they're having a conversation about one thing, and then everyone else can be having a conversation about other things, and it's very hard to like loop back in with both convos, which is why sometimes it's hard to sort of, when someone says something to you, you sort of, they go, oh, you did that, and you're like, what did I? You're like, oh, I can remember me doing that. Or why did you say that? And you're like, what did I say? Because you just generally, there's so much going on, you literally cannot remember what you've just done or what you've just said, or do you know what I mean? It's very like, you have to just keep your brain going constantly, like it's just constant ticking over. That's why I think some people think streaming's easy, but it's not when you've got so much going on.
I think a lot of misconceptions when people think streaming is easy is because I think people just like hit go live, and then like 150, 200 people turn up and watch them play a video game, and everyone gives some subs, and, you know, it's all like happy, we're all having fun here, earning loads of money doing absolutely nothing. Like, it's not what it is. And also a lot of people go, oh, well, you know, you're self-employed. You don't have to wake up and go and work for someone else. It's like, no, I don't, but I have to work for myself, and I probably work more hours during a week for myself, earning significantly less money than I would if I was working a job, getting up, going and do some work. And also, like, streaming is probably harder than most of my previous jobs I've had. Like, I've done, well, I was my first job I worked at B&Q. Then I went and I became an estate agent, and then I worked for the government, and then I worked as a postman. And yeah, the postman, they've all got different. Like, postman was more physically hard than streaming, but it's not hard. Like, you're just posting letters through doors, you're scanning
Mm.
stuff. Like, whereas streaming, as a content creator and streamer, you have to learn how to edit, manage your social media, your networking, your prepping, scheduling, uploading content, making sure there's stuff to go at all times. You're trying to contact sponsorships, you're trying to manage those sponsorships, also managing your finances. Like, you're doing, I'm like my own accountant. Like, I do like a community manager. Like, there's so many things. I did a tweet probably like 6 months ago saying this. That as a content creator, there are so many jobs within that one broad spectrum that just takes so much time to do that it's like, I mean, I've spent like the last like 4 or 5 days editing for like 5 hours a night, like just trying to edit an Apex video to get out for today. I've been editing that Horizon Zero Dawn into a series, so going through, chopping out bits that are, you know, I'm just sat there talking to chat, or I've gone to the toilet, or do you know what I mean? And it might be like, oh, you don't have to do that. Like, you could just do it easy, but at the same time, I don't want to leave in like 5 minutes in a video where I'm not sat at my desk. So I have to go through, cut bits out that aren't relevant. Then I have to export that, upload it, make thumbnail. Like, I've spent all this week making thumbnails as well, taking a screenshot. Like, it's just, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and people just think you just hit go live and, you know, money rolls in and then you get sponsored by Nike, or
just
you know,
not how it works.
Like
I remember you saying that, Krim, about like editing was like, you found the hardest thing was just the clipping, because you have to go through like hours of footage rather than it just being like, right, here's the footage, edit this, put this transition here, put that meme or whatever you're putting in the video, put that there. You just said like the actual clipping part is the longest part of the whole process of editing, right?
But yeah, because you spend hours when you stream, you spend absolutely hours, and most of it you're not really doing anything. And it's just the moments that do happen in the middle of streaming are just these little, tiny little moments that you probably don't even notice while you're streaming. But if they don't get clipped for you, then you need to go back and clip them yourself. And it means going through hours.
Yeah, I think, and obviously, and sometimes it's difficult because when you have cut them all up and you are ready to like edit, you're like, well, now I've got all the footage. What do I do with it now? And obviously, you spent like 20 odd hours just cutting it up, or like however many hours you spent cutting up, you know, 7-8 hours of footage or whatever, how many hours of footage you've got, and then you have to try and make it then entertaining rather than just being just your actual gameplay. Which is what Lucas is saying about, you know, you have to do so many different jobs in streaming rather than it just being like hit go live and thing. I do think people don't like you can't really you can give someone advice on that's going to happen, but you don't actually know it until you're actually doing it, how much goes on. Like, you just think, oh, I'm just going to stream, and then like what you said, you've got all them things on top of streaming. Yeah. That, like, yeah, you can be told, but it's so difficult to like keep up with all of that on top. And also, what you did,
part of the journey.
Yeah, and another thing, what you didn't mention is your personal life on top of that.
Yeah,
like your life outside of being online. I know, like me personally, I find it so hard to like disconnect myself from like being online, or like just not looking at my phone, or not being on Twitch, or not talking to someone on Discord. Like, just generally just living my life as me rather than like, you know, someone that I am online. Do you know what I mean? It's very, I find it very difficult, I'm not gonna lie.
Thing is, I feel like it is a part of the journey of actually learning to become a more efficient creator. You learn tricks along the way that make things quicker for you, because that's probably like the biggest I'd say tax when it comes to making any content. The biggest tax is your time. So along the way, you kind of have to find tricks that make it more efficient for you.
Yeah.
But it takes so long to figure out what they are and what works for you.
It does.
And your content.
I mean, that's the reason you kind of like, because time is, I literally tweeted this out there. Time is the most valuable currency. Like, you spend it, you don't get it back ever. Like, there's no way to earn time back. So once it's spent, like it's gone, right? So you have to invest your time correctly. And I literally said this the other day that I watched a video of me and my little brother, and it was back when I was streaming on Xbox, and he was in my room, like, just sat there playing with me. And it must have been like 2-3 years ago. And I looked at it and I was like, where's time gone? Like, because I remember that video, but I don't feel like I've spent enough time with him over the past 3 years. Like, whereas because I've been so focused on, like, so career focused, so like, you've got to edit, got to upload, got to stream, got to do this, got to do that, where I just kind of just like, everyone else, I'm just kind of like, you know, pushing to the side. And then it just made me realize that I have to start dedicating some time for my family. Do you know what I mean? So like even like, I'm now making it every Sunday when my brother goes to football. No, my sister go and take him, and I've always just been like, oh yeah, I'll edit or stream. But now I'm thinking about it now, I'm just like, okay, well, every Sunday that's gonna be a thing. I'll go with them to watch and play football, and then that way, you know, that's a bit of time that I get to spend with them, and then it won't feel like, even though I do spend a lot of my time doing stuff, other like work stuff, that I'll have a bit of dedicated time for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, definitely.
It's definitely hard to balance it and manage it. And like you said with your personal life, like it's so hard to think, where am I going to fit that in? Because I mean, I could. What I have done in the past, I've just gone, you know, that's fine. I won't stream tomorrow, and I'll do this and do that. But then that was probably before I was full time. Whereas because I'm full time and this is my job and this is how I earn money, and I have to do this to survive or to thrive or whatever, you know, however you want to look at it. Like, there's that extra bit where I'm like, I need to not do that, or I need to do. Do you know what I mean? And I have to take things a bit more seriously.
Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know about both of you, because I know you've done content as well, Crim. Like, you're always on a constant backlog. Like, you can never catch up with how much work you have to do. Like, you would just doing content, it's impossible. Like, it is literally impossible. It would never happen, because you're always thinking about, right, I need to clip this, I need to upload this, I need to edit this, I need to, like, you know, like I was saying, video, like, do a recording for this person, or blah, 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 blah. Like, there's not enough time in the day for you to be up to date and think, right, that's it, I've got everything done, I'm ready, like, I've got everything sorted, because you've got like tons of stuff you need to go through, like your clips or like your edit, and then when you stream, that's another 5 hours on top of everything, or however long you stream for, on top of now what you've got to edit again. Obviously, if you're making like a series, like what Lucas was saying, you know, making a series on Horizon Zero Dawn, if he does 6 hours of streaming or whatever, that's then 6 hours of footage he's got to go through to then chop up and then edit, which is going to take probably the same amount of time or half that time or whatever. And then the next day he's then doing it again. So then you're just constantly like just chasing. You're just chasing your own self. And that's why I think sometimes it gets on top of people, because they just think, I literally physically cannot do this. Like, I can't keep up with it.
I do think there's a lot of value outside of Apex, though. In games like Apex, like Warzone and stuff. Like, they're very popular games, don't get me wrong. Clearly, like, you know, they're the most viewed Fortnite games like that. But because unless you have, like, as a content creator, my creative mind isn't the greatest. Like, when it comes to coming up with video ideas or doing things that I think people will find funny, or, like, mine's more like, you know, either good gameplay or funny moments that come naturally to me, and that's more my sort of content. And when it comes to, like, you know, making specific content, I'm not very good at that. But I think there's a lot of value, which I've noticed, in playing like single player games and games that have a bit more depth to them. Because, for example, I've recorded my first session of Horizon Zero Dawn was 8 hours, and I think I turned that into like, it might be like 11 to 12 episodes for YouTube, which at the moment I'm posting 2 a day, because there's a game coming out next week that I want to focus on. But then next week is going to go to 1 a day. But I'll probably still be posting videos from something that I filmed for the last like 3-4 days, probably for like the next few weeks. Whereas with Apex, you're like, okay, well, I need to do something. I need to film something to get some content. Like, I need something to happen. I need to have a good game, or I need to come up with this idea or that idea. And then you end up getting shoehorned in. Like, I see a lot of people do like tutorials on Apex, or, you know, the top tips, or, you know, this is a guide for Maggie or a guide for this. Once you start doing those, it might get you views, but then you're trapped in you have to do guides, because otherwise people aren't watching your content. You drop out the gameplay, people are like, no, I don't want to watch that. You're the guide guy. Like, I want to watch you do guides. Yeah. Whereas if you do something more generalized, like single player games, or, you know, even games that like MMOs, or, you know, games that aren't, you don't have to chase that content. I think there is value in that, and I think there's value in mixing the two, because obviously one's super popular in terms of viewership on both Twitch and YouTube, in like Apex, Warzone, games like that, and the others, you know, more popular on Twitch when they first come out, but then they die off. But then they're still popular on YouTube because people like to watch things and learn things. So, but I just want to add on to that as well, is that, like, I think I'm funny. People think I'm funny, but not everyone thinks I'm funny. I guarantee you, loads of people come by my stream and go, "This guy's boring." Like, this guy, you know, because it just depends on what the viewer enjoys watching. And there's loads of different personalities out there. Loads of people like watching different people. So, for example, right, like Shroud, right? Shroud is probably one of the most talented, gifted gamers. I've sat in Shroud stream for hours before, trying to understand what it is. I don't find him funny. Some people find him funny. I think I couldn't, but he's very, very talented. Obviously, that helps. But he's not like, you know, I don't find him funny personality-wise, but some people do. Some people like that. So, you know, you have some introverts might like watching people who are quite extrovert. Some introverts might also like watching people who are introverted because they feel like, you know, safe. They feel comfortable. Extroverts, you know, some people might watch introverts. And there's a load of different mixes of like types of people, and there will always be someone for you. So if there's anyone who's, you know, for example, like watching, thinking, I don't think I'm that funny, but it doesn't matter. Even if you don't think you're funny, if you're just yourself and you show your personality, like people who like your personality will be attracted to your stream and will stay in your stream, regardless of whether you think you're funny or not. And it shouldn't be like a, you know, like I feel like some people get this idea that, I'm not funny, I can't stream. But like, you know, take Woody, for example. He streams. So
Quick, we wanted to laugh at that, mate. That was just a slight dig. That just wasn't called for, really, to be honest. You know what I mean?
It was just so well put in.
Yeah,
there.
it was fucking set up, mate. He did that for a good, like, he thought of that for like the last 5 minutes. He was setting
And then he
himself
goes
up.
back to eating his fish and chips.
Yeah, and he just mutes
Eating
himself. So
more.
he's mutes himself, just mic drops, and then just leaves
He's like, I've
again.
done my dumb.
Yeah, I'm done, mate.
Okay.
Right, second question. If you had to do it all over again from the beginning, what would you do differently?
So I think that an ideal path for coming into streaming and content creation is learn how to create content first. So if you think of streaming, it isn't to say don't stream, because obviously I always encourage people to stream, but like learn how, do your research on YouTube, see what people are watching. So say, for example, if you're an Apex player, what are people watching on Apex on YouTube? See what's popular, and like learn how to make TikToks, learn how to make, you know, YouTube videos, learn how to make content first, get YouTube up and running. Like those are all the things that I would have done first, and then go to streaming. Because if you can build an audience from long form content, one, it's easier to earn money from like YouTube, because if you're just uploading consistently and people enjoy your content, you're gonna get that consistent ad revenue. Whereas like becoming a, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 viewer plus streamer is very hard. Like I think if you're over like 50 viewers, you're in like the top 0.something% of streamers on Twitch or something. Like it's so hard to get to that top level. So if I could do anything over again, I would learn how to make content first and like make that my focus, and then stream after.
Yeah, I think I just think like you get a different sort of like dopamine from streaming compared to like just making something and putting it out, because when it's live, it's like more personal, you know. People come in, they talk to you, you get to know them, like they talk about their day or whatever. Whereas, you know, like you said, posting a video, you just see a comment or you just see a like it's just another name.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really get that side of it.
Put it this way, right? Say you have, I don't know, say you're a 5,000 viewer streamer on Twitch, and then you start to make YouTube content, right? You just start up a YouTube channel. It's not guaranteed that like most people like to move that audience to YouTube and to get that same. YouTube's so big in terms of like the scope and viewership of YouTube that like to find people to watch your video is hard. So like you'll see some people who are like super popular on Twitch. If you look at their YouTube channels, and I do this quite a lot just to like, kind of get an idea of what people are posting, but their like videos aren't doing that well. And that can be a number of things. That can be game, it can be thinking, but I think it's also a platform. Like I feel like if you build an audience on YouTube, I feel like to bring that audience to Twitch is significantly easier than the other way.
Definitely.
Especially if you're playing like similar games. And I feel like it's definitely more personal of an audience on Twitch, because like or live streaming, because you know you get instant interactions, instant feedback from when you're talking to someone. Whereas with YouTube, you don't. You're just watching them. But that's my advice. Like if I was to do something over again, it would be the other way for sure.
Well, start with like YouTube and then work backwards.
So I'm just shutting my door. Yeah, I would start with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and you know get like efficient at those things, because I feel like what happened was I started streaming, and then like a few years down the line, I was like, oh, you don't just hit go live. I have to be like that
Yeah.
to grow. I need to be uploading content, right? And then because I did it that way, I then had to like learn how to make content on the fly. But then like I didn't have the time that I used to have, because by the time like then I was working, I was taking things more seriously. Whereas if I'd have just done content first, there's no real pressure to like, you know, I just feel like that's the best way to do it. If I was to change anything anyway, I think some people disagree. Everyone has different opinions, but that's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's very hard to sort of get like you said, boxed into sort of like just streaming, just constantly streaming, because people like, you know, if they know you're going to be like, if they know you're going to be like live 5 times a week, they're going to want to see you 5 times a week. Whereas a YouTube video, you know, you could post it like 1 or 2 times a week. You could then upload 3 a week, 4 a week, 5 a week. People are not going to get sick of you uploading. Do you know what I mean? But people will eventually not tune in because you're not streaming on the days that you said you're going to stream, or you're like giving them promises. You know what I mean? It's more like accountable.
That content's always there as well.
Yeah.
That content's always there. So if you upload a YouTube video and it pops off, it might pop off again in like a year, 2 years time, and you're gonna consistently make money from that video. Whereas with streaming, like the way I describe streaming, it's like a lot of like, it's either feast or famine, right? And it's a luxury industry, right? Streaming, like the money you earn, you might earn a little bit from ads. I mean, if you don't have a lot of viewers, like hundreds plus, you'll probably earn a decent ad revenue, like if you're streaming quite a lot. But when you don't have a lot of viewers, and most of your viewers might be subbed as well, you're not gonna be making a lot of ad revenue. So there's no like guaranteed way to earn. The only way to really earn, we're talking directly through streaming, is via the generosity of your community, or generosity of people who want to support you, want to see you do well, gifting subbing, you know, donating, whatever that is. That's where the money comes from. So then that becomes really hard, because if you look at like the world around us, the current economy, that people don't have a lot of like extra funds to be gifting subs and donating. And then there's few people, but if that's where the majority of money comes from, that's where the problem lies. Because like that's something that I realized like over the last couple of years of being full time, is like, I mean, I'm sure we'll probably talk about this later, and I'll probably go back over it. But like when I went to full time, I was earning enough where I could cover my outgoings and some. But that landscape, like it's constantly shifting. You know what I mean? So I did save up some money before I started, but that quickly, like it went pretty quick, like probably within like a year. And then I'm there like every month, then going, oh wait, hold up, I need to start like finding other ways. So then I started doing YouTube. Realized YouTube was really hard. Still persevering with YouTube, still going, because I feel like it's definitely something I need to get. I need to get YouTube partner. But then I was like, okay, wait, I need to like start looking at sponsorships more seriously and trying to get some opportunities. And that's when I started like trying to nail down those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think people are very like homed in, is that a word? Like on just Twitch, they're like, right, I'm making money off, like you say, ads, or like, you know, people donating, people subbing, but it's just not substantial, because you're asking for people's like generosity rather than it being like, you know, like YouTube partner where you get money off ads, or like other stuff like people sponsoring your video and stuff like that. Like when you're bringing in thousands of views or whatever, people and companies are gonna want to like interact with you more, rather than it being like, oh, I average like this amount on Twitch. Like, you know, you're it's like you say, like a net, like you're catching more people in a net than you are like live streaming, because it's live and people can't always be there every single day when you're streaming live. Like it's people just, you know, people have their own lives to live and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
But it's just one of them things. That's why I think sometimes streaming is difficult in that sense, because especially analytics and stuff, because people go, oh, my numbers have dropped off. But some days, you know, your VIP or whoever it is, your mod, they can't be there. Like they physically cannot be there. Yeah. They're on holiday, they're at work, they're doing whatever. So you're like, oh, okay, like 10 people didn't show up today. Like, what the hell? Like, why is that? But that's just people just living their life. Like, it's not like they don't want to view you, watch you again or whatever. It's just, you know, that's just the way live streaming is in general.
That's hard, because you might have like a few of those days where, you know, so many people don't turn up. But everyone's life changes. When so many people experience so many different things, and they might not be comfortable to tell you as a viewer to streamer. The same way as a streamer, you probably wouldn't feel comfortable telling, you know, a lot of viewers about things that are going on detailed in your life. So you have to expect, like, obviously, the smaller you are, the more you notice it. When you're bigger, like, you might notice like hundreds of people missing, thousands of people missing, but you're not thinking because of the size and the scale of your viewership. You don't know each person individually. Whereas when you're like at this sort of size that I am, like I feel like I know everyone who comes by my stream. Maybe not by like first name, but I feel like I know them. I feel like I've built a relationship with them. Whereas, you know, for example, if you're like 2,000 viewers and 200 people don't show up one day, you're not going, oh, where's, you know, I don't know, Mark, or where's, you know, Stephen, or the people like you're like, oh, it's just a bad day today, you know, and we just go next sort of thing. Whereas when you're like smaller, you're like, okay, so where were they? And they might not show up for like a few weeks, a few months, and then when you do see them, you're like, oh, like, how you been? Like, how was life? And then you catch up with them again. And that's why also it feels so like you pay so much attention to analytics. You kind of have to like kick it to the curb. Like it's not easy.
No, it definitely isn't easy. Analytics is probably the thing that gets in people's heads the most, right? Especially with Twitch, because it's, you know, if you're doing it every single day, you want to see some sort of progression or growth, or like some form of, like I said, growth where you're like, right, okay, last month I averaged this, or last month this my biggest viewership was this, or whatever. So it's like hard to grow on that. Whereas YouTube or TikTok or whatever, you know, you just grow off your past 5 videos or your past video, and you can just try and build on that and think, right, what did I do wrong? What did I do this? But streaming, you're just you. Like, if you're just you, it's hard to sort of go, right, what do I now need to do myself streaming where I now grow, rather than it being like, right, what can I do in my content that I'm posting to why I need to grow? It's like very, very, very different. Which is why some people are massive on YouTube, you know?
Yeah. And I think one of the things that when we're talking about analytics, like one thing that I had, I think it was in January, I had drops, like Apex drops. And, you know, I average, for like full transparency, I average at something like 25 to 30 viewers. You know, some months it can be like near 40, other months it's a little bit lower. And I did like a full week of drops, and I think I peaked at like 1,500 viewers or something like that. Like I was averaging like 700-800 viewers. Chat was constant, people talking, like. And I remember even saying it when I was doing drops. Like I was like to myself, okay, like this is an opportunity to get my stream in front of more eyes, but this doesn't mean that when drops end that I'm going to hold this. And I told myself that, knew that wasn't going to happen, right? And I went, after drops ended, I think the day after drops ended, I averaged like 180, 190, and I had like a peak of like 300 because people must have thought I still had drops on. And then the day after that, it dropped a bit more. And the day after that, it dropped a bit more. And the day after that, it dropped a bit more. And the day after it dropped. And it just kept going down until I basically went back to where I was. And I didn't like have a full-on breakdown because I was like, in my head, I knew that was already going to happen. But I kind of got like, even though I told myself that the entire time, when I saw the numbers after drops had gone, and then just to gradually watch that go down, and in my head, I'm, you know, trying to be optimistic. I'm thinking, oh, it's probably going to stop here. You know, hopefully it will stop here at like 110. Hopefully it will stop here at 100. Hopefully it will stop here at 90. But it just kept going. And then when I got down to like where I was, like, you know, 30, wherever it was, I started thinking to myself, like, okay, why, how? But even though, like, and like questioning myself and being really hard on myself, and then when I thought about it more, I was like, okay, do you know what? Like, it might not show in terms of my viewership, but I got a bunch of people now. New people know my name. I definitely gained some viewers because there's people who follow during that period who still come into my chat every single day and are now like regulars. Like, I definitely gained viewership from it. It might not be visible. It might not be like visible growth in terms of a number on a screen. But I definitely had some sort of growth, whether that was, you know, just my brand alone, like just being in front of that many people and people seeing my name and going, oh, Black Boy. So now people might know who Black Boy is, where they might not have known me before. Yeah,
definitely. I think it is hard. Like, streaming is very, like, first impressions are like massive. Like, unless you sort of know people that you've been raided, or you're raiding, or you're in their community, or like you know of them through people. If you just get a random raid off someone, it's very hard to catch that that person to want to come back to watch your stream. Like, it's very, very, very hard. Like, that's just life in general. Sometimes it's hard to just make first impressions. Like, some people generally aren't good at them, or some people want something from a streamer. Like if they come in and you're not doing well, or like you're just dying constantly, and you're like, they're probably not gonna want to watch because they haven't come to watch you to just not be good at the game when they've watched someone who's very good at the game transition over. It's very hard to sort of it's hard to translate that. That's why I feel like random raids can be very difficult sometimes, because you're bringing your community, or they're bringing their community to you, but you don't really know like how what their content's like, or how they are. Some people generally just don't get on with how people are, or how they run their stream, or just their banter, or whatever it is. Like, it's very hard to sort of translate over, which is why when people are very similar, it's easier, because then they're like, oh, okay, this person is like similar to this person, so I can watch both streamers now because I like both of them, rather than being like, right, this person streams Apex and then I'm gonna raid someone who streams like Valorant or like CS. So unless either side is showing their personality more, it's hard to translate that over, because some people generally just don't want to watch that game, or they don't want to see that game, or they don't understand it, so they just go, okay, I can't be bothered, I'm clicking off, which is why raiding is very, very important. Raiding's another one that's quite difficult. Like, some people don't even like raiding. Some people just end stream, they just go, yeah, right, I'm going, I'll see you guys later. Like,
I don't understand that, but I mean, I guess it's because I don't understand it. Like, I'm sure some people do it. I'd rather, even if everyone was just to join for a moment and then leave, like that little dopamine hit of someone getting hit with a raid, like it might make their day. You can make their day.
Yeah.
Even if all your community don't hang around, they don't engage, like they've got things to do. I think it's completely free. It takes none of your time unless you want to sit in there and hang around and chat. I usually raid, and if I want to hang around, I'll hang around and chat. Usually, I'm dipping to go and do other things, but people should understand that, and I feel like it's just worth raiding. So I'll never understand people who just end stream, but
no, I that's actually a point. I don't understand that either, to be fair. I just think it's like, some days you might think, I don't want to raid, like I'm just I'm tired, or like I don't feel well and I don't really want, because obviously you then have to go into the stream and be like, hey, like blah 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 blah, like how are you, da da da. Sometimes people would just like, I just want to end, like I'm just over this, like I'm done. But I mean, me personally, I don't think I've ever just ended stream. I think I've raided someone at least every single time.
I mean, I've done it. I've done it if I don't have time, but most of the time I always, like, I have done it, but most of the time I reckon I raid probably like 99%.
Yeah, I'd say the same, to be honest. I just feel like it's nice to sort of like you said, share the love of someone, like, regardless of what the number is. It's always nice to give someone that.
100%.
Right, we've sort of gone over this a little bit, but we can talk about it a little bit. How important do you think posting on other social media platforms are for growth? And also, how important do you think YouTube is for growth? I know you said a little bit about it, but like just social media in general, so like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. You said at the start you started posting your clips on Instagram. Like, how
I think it's super important. I think it's super important, like, to diversify your content and get it other platforms, because Twitch is unbelievably awful in terms of discoverability. Like, the likelihood of you being discovered on is almost second to none, unless you get lucky through raids and things like that. Like, the chance of people coming across you and finding you is very slim. So like you have to be doing a lot to even see a little bit. But yeah, I mean, even then, I think it's important. But I don't post to TikTok. Right? Like I feel bad about it, because I don't post to TikTok and YouTube Shorts. I have spurts where I'm consistent. I can't do it. I can't. I literally cannot see. I don't understand how people have the time, and more power to them. Like, the people who are uploading like 3 times a week or 2-3 times a week long form, they're also posting shorts and TikTok every single day, like 3 a day, like, and also getting those on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, like repurposing them and putting them everywhere. Where do you get the time in the day to do every single one of those things? Like, I don't get it. That's one thing that I personally struggle with, is like the editing part of it, you know, I get it all done, and then it's like, okay, well, then I need to upload that to 3 different platforms. I need to do the captions. I need to do the hashtags. I need to do this. I need that. Like, so then sometimes I just get so disenchanted, and I'm just like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm just not going to do my shorts, and I'll just focus on long form. So like, I've not made a YouTube short since the Apex Community Cup. Like, I haven't made one or uploaded one because I just have been so focused on long form and other types of content. I just don't feel like I have the time.
It's true though. I go through spouts. I agree with that. Like at the minute, I'm focusing on, like, I've been posting like once a day or whatever it is, twice a day sometimes. I find it easier to sort of, like, for me, take it out of my PC, so like put it on my phone. So then if I'm out or whatever, I can go, oh, okay, I can just quickly upload this if I've got it already.
Right.
So you're not just like, right, I've got to edit this and then I've got to upload it on my PC or whatever. It's all just in one go. Whereas if you put it on your phone, you can think, oh, okay, I can just, you know, upload this now or when I'm on the train or wherever you are, you know. It's just sort of like easy just to get something out there. But it is also the same point as you don't want to just post anything. Like, I think that sometimes that's like a misconception with people. Like, I'm not saying I'm big on TikTok, like, I'm not. But in general, I feel like it's not better to just post anything you have, because TikTok is very, like, what's the word? Like, mindless. Like, people are mindlessly scrolling. But you don't want to just post anything because, you know, it just won't do well. Like, people don't really care about, you know, you winning a 1v1, like, or, you know, you sticking someone with an arc star or whatever it is. You know, you have to sort of make something out of that. That's why I feel like that TikTok comes into that, because you sort of have a clip at this, like, you know, it's average. It's not great. It's decent. But then if you edit it to make it look better, you're sort of like putting a coat over it. So then it's like, right, okay, now, like, upload it. So now it looks a lot better. And then if it's like short and quick and snappy, people get onto it. Like, for me personally, and I know you as well, the clips that I think are so average do well. And I don't understand it. I genuinely don't get it. Like, how you just have this average clip that's a little bit funny and it just blows up. Like, view it, for example, that door one you had the other week when you was teaching Sophie how to sit on the door. That just went.
Hey, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a bit different, but the same sort of concept in.
But not non-sponsored stuff, like, because obviously it's sponsored by EA. EA like boost those posts, so they're like, they get like shot to loads of people with sponsored content. But like I know what you're saying. The ones that you don't spend time on, like one of my TikToks that I've made was it was like me, like, going under, you know, the bridge.
I was just about to say that, the bridge and then the Revenant. Yeah.
The Revenant.
Yeah,
like,
the Revenant
I literally
one.
dropped down. There were 2 people hiding underneath. I think I knocked one, and then I knocked both of them, and then I just zoomed in on the Revenant's face, like, just quickly zoomed in on it, and it was just like pause for a second, and then it cut, and the clip ended, and I probably spent 30 seconds on it in that clip, and it got like, I can't remember how many hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah,
like, it got a lot. It got a lot of views, like 700,000 views, and it was like, I don't know, 50k likes or something, or 40k likes.
It's because they just keep going and going, don't they?
Yeah,
it's just like a rolling thing. So I think,
me
personally, I think TikTok and YouTube are probably the best ways, because TikTok is very like short, snappy, like, you know. It's just scrolling, people sitting at work, people on the bus, people like doing whatever their day-to-day life. If they see you and go, oh, okay, like, no, that was quite funny or whatever, or, you know, that was quite entertaining, I like this person, then they scroll your profile and then they're like, oh, they stream or they post on YouTube, then that's sort of the way. It's like quick, snappy, and like to the point sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? To get yourself out there.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I think TikTok is probably the best platform for growth of a personal brand, or to grow yourself as a streamer, right? I think far and beyond, like, TikTok is the quickest way, because, you know, if you're just making content and you're posting it, some people are bound to come across you and follow you because of TikTok. But at the same time, I think that it's hard because the people who use TikTok, which is probably most of us here, when we're on TikTok, if something's not funny within the first few seconds, you just scroll, go next. You scroll, go next. Like, your attention span is like super
very small.
Quick.
Yeah,
like, just like, want to go next. It's too long. It's too, like, it's not funny. But then, like, converting that to someone to come and sit and watch you stream, they're more likely to be, you know, unless they loved all your content, they're more likely to just come see what's up and then go, nah. Do you know what I mean? And then just go somewhere else. If that little highlight of that moment of the TikTok isn't your entire stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like,
Sorry, go
yeah, I
on.
was gonna say if you're not like, whereas if you like create like YouTube content, you create long form content, people are more likely to stick around and watch you stream because they're used to watching, like their attention span is to the point where they can watch like a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-minute video and not get bored. Like they can just sit and watch that. And I feel like that holds a little bit more value. So I feel like even though TikTok's that kind of quick adrenaline, like, you know, that quick boost of, oh my God, I've got 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 viewers or followers. Like, I reckon it doesn't even equate to like, you know, having, like, let's say, for example, 100,000 followers on TikTok. Would I rather have 100,000 followers on TikTok or 10K on YouTube? I'd rather have 10K on YouTube without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I feel like that's just, I'd rather have that following on TikTok on YouTube instead. I just feel like there's so much more value to be gained from that.
This was going to be my point, is that TikTok is actually, I would say, the most difficult platform to grow on. And that depends mainly on what your goal is. If your goal is to grow your brand as a streamer or as a content creator, then your goal shouldn't be to just purely get views on TikTok. Your goal should be to be making conversions on TikTok. Your goal should be to funneling the viewers from TikTok to your main channel, to your main content. But the app itself is designed to keep you in. The app itself is designed so that you don't click out of it. And because of that, people are going to watch TikToks and not take notice of you afterwards. They might like the TikTok, but you have to have something extremely special on TikTok. You have to be like really, really good at TikTok to understand what it is that people are looking for in a streamer or a content creator. And if you can show it off well enough, then eventually it can turn into conversions, but you need to have that skill of being able to show what your brand is.
It's like what you said, Crim, about hooks, isn't it? Like the hook of a video. Like it needs to be like very quick at the start, just so they grab people's attention. But then converting that at the end of the video is even harder because, you know, people are quick to be hooked on like, oh, I did this in ranked and this is how it went. Like they'll watch the video, but then they'll go, oh, that was funny, scroll. Like they're not going to go, oh, well, let me go and check this person out because that was funny and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, go through the process of clicking their link tree or clicking their, like, you know, their Instagram or their Twitch or their YouTube. Like it's hard to then transition people to that. Like me personally, I don't know, like any of you, so I know you streamed as well, Crim. How many times have you ever had someone come into your stream and be like, oh, I discovered you on TikTok, or oh, I discovered you through a YouTube short? Like it's very, very slim, like I feel. But if you grow it well enough, then it can like push you up, you know, like amount of streamers that have gone big off like TikTok clips or YouTube shorts or like a YouTube video or whatever is very, like if you just get that one video that like you said, like you use the net, the fishing net as a thing. If you catch loads of, you know, people in that net, they'll then transition to your Twitch or whatever your main focus of what you want to go with your content is, like whether that's YouTube or Twitch, whatever.
You have to be consistent with it as well, though. Because,
yeah, definitely.
Like the videos alone will not convert. Like it's like almost, I would say like slim to none that someone will watch a single video and go, yeah, let me go watch this person stream. Whereas they might watch multiple videos that have the same hook, same intro, same face, like something for them to cling on and remember, whether it's the background, whether it's the face, whether it's the voice, whether it's, you know, like having that kind of memorability where they might watch, you know, TikTok and they might see you one day and then 3 days later they might see another and then they might see another and they might see another and they might go, oh, you know, this person, and then they might go, okay, let me go and check them out. But it has to be like that consistent, like, drive of good content for them to go from TikTok to Twitch to even have a look. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless you're also live streaming on TikTok as well, because I think you can do that. I mean, I've tried it, but it melted my computer, so I won't be trying it again anytime soon. But you can, you know, like some people do both, and great. Do you know what I mean? Like that's fantastic. But again, it's not that I don't like TikTok, but I don't. Like I think there's so much more value in. I think there's so much more value in other platforms, and I still post there when I can. But I just think like it's just it's hard. It's hard to do anything on that platform. I feel like it's constantly changing. And
it's very difficult.
Yeah, like one of my friends, Sinner, like she got big on TikTok through Overwatch, and then that group that helped grow her Twitch, and you know, like that them combined was like a driving force for her, like to grow. But then recently on TikTok, like I know she's doing well, but like by her standards, have struggled, and it's not she's changed anything. Like the videos are still the same, the quality is still the same, but it just seems to be something's changed.
Yeah, I think TikTok is very like homed in on one thing. Like I know someone like Lace, for example, I can say it. Lace, she was saying to Kamos that basically all her best videos were sort of like about her sounding like Maggie. So any video she posted that wasn't that, it just did absolutely horrifically because it wasn't being pushed by, you know, either TikTok or like people that are just watching in general. It couldn't be pushed because it wasn't what she got big on TikTok for. Like it wasn't, you know, I sound like Maggie or I did this as Maggie. Like every video she did that was something about that just went like it got easy like 30,000-40,000 views because it was just, you know, this is funny. So like you said, going back to, you know, being like in a box about content, that sometimes you just fall into it and you can't like get out of it. Like you genuinely cannot like get out of
I mean, I'm already in one. I'm basically in one with Apex. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to expand, because I've noticed like even if I don't play Apex, like people will come by and be like, oh, where's Apex? Or when you're playing Apex, or you know, it's a box. You're always going to be in some form of box, but if you constantly try and change things and do different things, then you can't. Like with that, you were talking about that example with Lace, like doing the Maggie thing. I remember seeing those, find them hilarious. I just find her other content hilarious as well. But the problem is that people are going to find that hilarious, follow her, then she posts a video that isn't that, it will get sent to that person only followed for that, so they'll look at it, go, listen to it, go, oh, she's not doing that, skip it. I just tell TikTok, that person skipped your video, they didn't watch it, like they watched a second, skipped it, no engagement, and then the more people that do that, then it just gets pushed, and then the video gets pushed to no one. Like, the more people that sit and watch a video, and engage, maybe like, comment, like, and actually sit and watch it, then it's more likely to do better. But like, if you're somehow you shoehorned yourself in it could have been accidental. Like, it's so hard to get out of that. So hard.
It is 100%. When you're known for something, it's very hard to like switch what you're doing or what you've been doing in anything like Twitch, YouTube, whatever. That actually links into our next question, to be fair. So since you've been full-time, have you faced any hardships? And if so, what was like your toughest period in making content?
So yeah, full-time, I'll kind of like give more details to what I was alluding to earlier that I didn't really speak about. So like I said, I went full-time streaming in December 2021. And prior to that, for the year and a half before that, I'd been a postman. So I was being a postman, I was finishing work at like 2, coming home, streaming of an evening. And I started to do streaming more and more, creating more content. And I was like, I wonder if I could do this like full time. So I saved up loads of money. I paid off my debts, like, and those were things that I believe were important. Like I had like $2,000 worth of debts, cleared that, saved up like $2,500, picked a day out, handed in my notice, and went, right, from this point forward, I'm going to be full time. At that point, I was earning enough to pay my outgoings. Plus, I'd probably have like £500 left over. Like every month, I was averaging 300 to 400 subs, or 250 to like 400, maybe sometimes higher subs.
Yeah.
And because of that, on top of like, you know, everything else like bits and kind of like a bit of ad revenue here and there, like I was earning like pretty decent money. Like not the same as I was at the post office, but in my eyes, like I wasn't miles off where I felt like if I dedicated all my time to something I loved doing, I could get there. That didn't continue for too long. Like that probably was like maybe like the first 4 or 5 months of me being full time, and then the world just was the world, and it started getting super expensive like, out of nowhere. Like probably early 2022, mid 2022. You know, energy bills, everything like skyrocketed, and I noticed just numbers dropping. It didn't really matter at the time because I had savings still, so I was chilling. The hardest point, and I think one of the hardest things with being a full-time content, is there's two. There's the bit we spoke about earlier, like the mental game when it comes to analytics, and you know, I've had talks with you before about this, like kind of talking about in detail about kind of the mental and where I'm at and stuff like that. But the most important thing, or one of the hardest things, I think, is the financial side of things, because, like I said, I was a bit naive in the sense that I thought that would continue forever, or it grow, and it could only go one way. I didn't. Obviously, I'd factored it in by getting savings that it would go the other way, but I didn't realize it would go so severely the other point where some months I was barely getting, like before they dropped it to 50, like I was barely getting paid out. And recently it's not been great either, but the good thing I've done in the last, I would say year, maybe a few months of like full-time streaming is like trying to work really hard on getting opportunities for myself. Whether that's emailing companies or new games, see if there's a sponsorship opportunity. You know, I think one of the most important things as well is having like a business email, because the amount of opportunities you get through that. And that is like, this year, I've probably earned more through sponsorships this year than I've made through Twitch. Or like from like 2023, like that tax year, like April 23 to March 24. Like I've probably made more money through sponsorships than I've earned through Twitch, which I think is what the goal should be, because it's, you know, but it's not always like you can't always replicate that, right? Because things constantly change, and companies might, you know, they might be sponsoring you, and then all of a sudden they go bust or something, and they can't afford that sponsorship anymore, things like that. So it's like that's where you want to get to, and that's something I realized I needed to do. But yeah, the hardest thing was, like I said, was finances, and I think the toughest point for me personally was probably like end of last year. Even though I had some sponsorships, like I had a couple of 2-3 months where it was like touch and go whether I was going to earn enough to kind of cover my outgoings and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's like a big point though. You saying that you earn more from sponsorship and stuff, which is obviously people just think they can just solely earn. Like, I don't know how many times you've had it, someone saying, oh, you know, you get a load of subs, and we're like, oh, you're rich now. Like, I think some people don't realize how much you get compared to like what
someone
the
would give
split
20
is,
subs. Someone would give 20 subs, they'll spend 100 quid, and they'll like it's not that you're ungrateful. Like, I'm very grateful. If someone gives 20 subs,
yeah, 100%.
Insane. But then I think some people give for the expectation that you're gonna do some sort of backflip, or you're gonna fucking start doing the jig, or fucking like, I don't know, like get up and like, in the grand scheme of things, like by gifting 20 subs, yes, you spent a lot of money, and thank you, but Twitch has also taken half of that. Like, I'm probably not getting, I might get like 40 to 50 pounds of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's that kind of, because of that, people have this like misconception of, oh man, how many streams did you get? How many subs did you get today? Oh, you got 50 subs. Like, oh my God, your minute that cost them like £200-300. And it's like, no, I'm not getting that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you don't get that amount.
Like, it was a very good day, but that's not like when the paycheck comes through, it's not going to amount to loads. Do you know what I mean? Which is why you have to look elsewhere.
Yeah,
with sponsorships and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think people, that's like a misconception that streamers are like rich or whatever. Okay, maybe the bigger ones that have, you know, 1, 2, 3,000 subs, then yeah, that's a substantial amount of money. But they could be they could have a contract, or like you said, they have a different split or whatever that is. Like, they're not just solely streaming on Twitch. No one that's big has just solely streamed on Twitch. They would have done and posted something elsewhere, or had a video do well that's drove them to their Twitch. Or do you know what I mean? It's
not completely. There are people. There are massive streamers that got where they are by not posting content. Like, and it does. I think that's one of the probably the frustrating things is like, you could be working so hard, so hard, posting content, YouTube, TikTok, Someone might be streaming for 2-3 months and then have 5 times, 10 times the amount of success that you feel like you've had.
Yeah,
they might be popping on viewers. You know, their YouTube then might explode because of that. Then they burst into this, and they're on 10,000 subs or 5K. It happens, like, and it does happen. It's not the way that people advise you to do it, because it's like a anomaly. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Like, and then when they get to that point, because they want to stay there, they're earning so much money, they can just go, right, editor, get a thumbnail guy, you know, get someone to do this, like to manage all my social media. Like, you know, I can just focus on my 2 hours of stream and then go have some of my personal life to myself, and then I'll come back and do it again tomorrow. But like when you're on that grind to that point, like you don't get that luxury.
No, you don't. You have to do it with yourself, basically, which is, you know, it just comes part of it, I guess. But it's difficult, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think again, like I was saying with sponsorships though, like I think obviously you have to. One of the things is like you have to kind of develop your brand to a point where. Like, I don't like because I'm not the biggest streamer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm okay. Like, you know, in terms of my size and such. But I feel like because of how long I've been streaming and how long I've been kind of doing what I'm doing is I've kind of built a name, albeit small, or whatever, within like the Apex UK community. So I'll have brands reach out, like, you know, and offer me something, and then you know, depending on what they're offering, I can then negotiate and. I think that's one of the important things is like trying to find and figure out your value and kind of like what it's worth being paid. Like I've had a couple of crazy deals. Like I told you about the one I did, like I think it was like a year and a half ago, where I made a advert for a mobile game. So it was like, I can't remember the name of the game, but it was almost like Clash of Clans, right? Almost like Clash of Clans sort of thing. And they hit me up and they were just like, you know, like we're Meta, we're contacting you because we've seen your streams and we think your personality would be perfect for one of our adverts. Would you be interested in making an advert for this game? And I was like I don't really feel comfortable promoting that if it's not a game that I play. And they were like, oh, it's fine. You don't need to connect it to your brand. And I was like, oh, like what? I don't have to post it. They were like, no, we just want you. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, how much are you gonna pay? And then they started off, I think, at like $1,000 for a 30-second video. And then I think I ended up getting like 1,500 after negotiations. But that was for a 30-second video. And that was like that was out of nowhere. That was out of the blue. Like they'd been in my streams, watched my streams, saw my personality, and were like, yeah, okay, we want you to make an advert for our game. And that was like random. But then obviously like now you're in the EA Creator Network. Like when it comes to like Apex stuff, like there's opportunities there. You have to get in, and then once you're in, it's about trying to get more of those opportunities, talking to people and trying different things.
Yeah, trying to show your personality and what you offer that is different to everyone else. Yeah, exactly, definitely. It's hard to like know your value as well. I'm not gonna lie, especially when because you don't. Like, I feel like some people know their value, but like I think it's hard to sort of know unless you're not the person. Like, if I was giving advice to you, it's easier for me to give you advice about your value than it is for you to give yourself your own advice about where you 100%. Think your value. You know what I mean? Because you just sort of like not live in a bubble, but you sort of just are focused on other things and like you don't really think, oh, okay, what is this, and this. You sometimes forget of like your winners, which I know we've had conversations before about. We're both similar in the sense of like when we have something good happen, or like, you know, like a video does well or whatever it is, it's hard to be like, oh, okay, that video did well, like I'm really happy. We're just like, right, what's the next thing? When's the next thing happening? Like when I'm like I've got a plan for this, and you know, I need to do this for that. And it's not really like other people are more happy for you than you are sort of happy for yourself in the sense.
Which when things are going bad, you compile it onto yourself. Yeah, and
definitely.
You really get down about it.
Definitely.
So you don't really you don't ever celebrate, which is one thing you have to kind of be conscious of. Is like when you do have success or you do something that's big, like celebrate it, like be happy about it, be proud of yourself. And when you're down about things, like one thing that I try and do is that whenever I'm down about things, whether that's analytics, I've had a bad stream, you know. I've had a bad day. Like I always, and it's like, you know, in regards to content creation and streaming, I always try to think about where I came from, and that's the easiest like kind of thing that will fill me with joy and kind of like, okay, like, you know, make me forget about it. Is like if I just think like where I started from, you know, just hopping on Xbox and streaming off the Twitch app to where I am today, where I'm being paid by some companies, some brands. You know, I won an Apex tournament, you know, and I'm doing things. You know, I've had like the chance to do drops and things like that. Like these aren't ever things that if you'd have told that, you know, 22-year-old boy who started streaming on Twitch on his Xbox that, yo, in 5 years' time, you're going to win a Apex tournament and walk out with $6.5 grand. I'd have been like, all right, mate, good job. Do you know what I mean? Or you're going to work with NVIDIA and be able to give away 2 4060 graphics cards. I'd have been like, all right, mate. Or AMD, or do you know what I mean? Like, these are all things that I've been able to do because of the brand that I've built that I don't give enough credit to myself for or think about enough. They're just like, okay, cool, done that now. Let's go next. Like, instead of thinking about it. But then when something bad happens, I'm always the one to get on my back and sulk about it and like really like get down about it.
Yeah, I think it's when you're like you said, something had bad to you, people aren't really going to tell you that like that's bad, or you know, you're not doing well. Like if your viewership dropped, your friends are not going to go, oh, by the way, your viewership dropped, because they know that that's like, that's going to be hurtful to you. Like, you know, that's happening, but you just, you know, they just sort of don't really tell you. Like it's hard for them to understand unless you're in it. I know, like for me as well, like I know sometimes it's hard to sort of have conversations with people that don't do it compared to people that do it, because you just instantly have like, you know, people understand it more rather than just being like someone who doesn't know anything about it or what it's like to do it or create content or stream or whatever it is. Like it's easier to just have a conversation with someone that's at least done it for a few months, or like who's been around people that do content or whatever. It's very hard to sort of have the same similarities to someone who hasn't done it at all and sort of get their advice on certain things compared to someone who has done it and knows it and that sort of thing, you know?
I think also as well, like one thing as well is like, I'm always completely transparent. Like this goes for, I mean, you know, I've said it to you before, but if anyone, you know, if there's any content creators listening and, you know, you're like, okay, well, how do I go about getting sponsors, or how much did you get paid for this? How much? I'll always be like completely honest. So once I've been paid, it's my money. I can talk about it, right? So I'm always like open to talk about and try and give an idea. That doesn't mean that, you know, if you come to me and be like, oh, how much do you think I get paid for this? Like, that's not really my forte. But and obviously I got help from my Orc Horizon in terms of kind of like figuring out what I can charge for certain things. But that's also dynamic as well. Like that also depends on whether you really want to do it or not. Like, so for example, like my first ever sponsor opportunity with Apex, I probably took less money than I should have been paid, but because I was like, oh my god, like Apex is going to pay me to do something, I just took it. Do you know what I mean? So it was less than what I would have charged other brands, but I was like, okay, this works for me. Like, so it's dynamic. I can move that. I can change that around.
Yeah. It's like you're saying, go back to like value of yourself. It's hard when, you know, like it's hard when you think back, you know, like you said, when, you know, where you've come from compared to then someone being like, right, I'm going to pay you to do something. You're just like, yeah, like I'm so happy to do that. But you sort of have to know, it's like your brain doesn't catch up with your body in a sense, you know what I mean? As in like, your brain's thinking, right, like I want to do the next thing, you want to do the next thing, I want to do the next thing. But then your body's like, well, you know, look how far you come, like whatever that is in life, like, you know, they're sort of like, you know, you should know your value now, like, but you just don't think about that because you're just thinking back of, oh, like, I remember when I was a smaller streamer or a smaller creator, like, I didn't think like this, and now you're like, oh, fuck, like, someone's sponsoring me or someone wants to work with me or whatever. That's why other people then give you that gratification to be like, oh, okay, like, remember when you was doing this and now you have this amount, and remember when this video wasn't that good, and now look at the videos you're posting, or, like, now look at your stream, or now look at the stuff you're doing, like, it's very easy to see from the outside someone doing it because you only have short snippets of them doing it. When you're actually in it doing yourself, you're just sort of like in this one like massive like roller coaster of like up, down, up, down, up, down. You know what I mean?
100%.
Compared to someone outside of it just watching you grow or whatever's happening.
One bit of advice I would say as well is don't ever undervalue yourself or sell your time for free. I see a lot of creators like fall into the trap of these like shit. Sorry, excuse my French, but like very bad like affiliate ships.
Swear.
Like, sorry, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's before the what do you call it? Yeah,
watershed.
What do they call it? Watershed.
That's right, mate. You can swear. It's all good.
Right. But they fall into this trap of like, energy drink sponsorship. You know, there's like a million of them. Like, 10% code and this. And don't get me wrong. Like, it's cool. It's nice to be affiliated by those things, but a lot of those companies prey. And I use the word prey because they do, you know, they badger you on emails and send you emails because you're more valuable to them than they are to you, but they, because of the brand they've built, believe that they're more valuable, so they can get you to do something for free or for literally virtually nothing by promoting their product constantly, with the hopes of getting a little bit of money if your community decide to use your code, or people decide to use your code. And it's so, like, don't get me wrong, like I've got an affiliate thing right now, but that's for a product that I use. That, you know, the way I look at it is, you know, I use it every day. If people want to use my code, then they can. If they don't, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not looking at it and thinking, I want to use that to make money. Like, that's going to be a sponsorship that's going to make me money. And you have to kind of, and also, like, a lot of companies as well, like, they'll try and get you to do things without paying you. Like, they'll be like, oh, you do this, can you create this? And, or we'll let you play, we'll send you a game code for a game, and we want you to make a 10-minute video on it, so a review of it. No, you can send me the code though. I'm not gonna, like, you giving me that isn't, like, that doesn't mean that I have to do something for you. Like, I didn't ask you for the code. You've asked to send me one, but now you're asking for something free in return, something that I've actually got to sit and spend my time doing.
Yep. Yeah,
and don't fall into those traps. Like, know that if someone is telling you, if a company email you and want you to do work for them, value your time. Like, if you have to spend time doing something, charge them. If they don't want to pay you, that's fine, but don't do it unless it's something like, for example, like I said before, where it's something you're passionate about. You know, like if your favorite game, for example, like Apex. Like, if they asked me to do a stream and it wasn't paid, like, for example, you know, remember the Post Malone thing I did?
Yeah.
That wasn't a paid thing. They invited me to that. It wasn't a paid opportunity. I didn't turn it down.
Yeah.
There's no point. What am I turning it down for?
The shoe fits,
you know
in it, really.
Yeah, I didn't go to them. Hold up, you want me to spend a couple hours of my time playing a game?
Yeah.
Pay me. I went, that's a good opportunity. I'm going to take that. But don't just bite the hand off of every single opportunity that comes your way. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think
you've got to measure the opportunities. It can't just be.
Yeah.
You can get taken advantage of so easily, because I think what a lot of creators do is they don't realize what they've actually learned and what they've built. You could be streaming or making content for 6 months. You could have built a small community and you would not realize that you've achieved so much more than a lot of marketers have in their career. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, a lot of these marketers will go out looking for people specifically like you with small communities who don't realize that you've made something and don't realize that you've learned something along the way.
Yeah, they just think
they will take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I think companies, like you're saying there, though, I feel like companies are starting to slowly realize, like, the current model of sponsorships is like, you know, say for example, I own a company and we sell headphones, right? And I'm looking for people to sponsor. I'll go, right, concurrent viewers, what's their, like, monthly average, you know, and how many months have they averaged that for? 100, perfect. 100 viewers sounds great, but how many do they have? 25. 25. Is there much value there? Or even if we bump up the 100 to 1,000, like 1,000 to 25 viewers, that 1,000 viewers, like, yeah, it looks great, and you're sponsoring someone loads of viewers, more eyes. But at the same time, that doesn't mean people are guaranteed to buy that product. Whereas with someone that has, you know, 30 viewers, they almost have more, or 25. They almost have, like, more of a connection with their community, like the core of their community, and because of that, they might have a better chance of getting more conversions than someone with 1,000 viewers, and therefore, like, they're very valuable, but you don't realize it when you're at like 25 to 30, because you might think, oh, well, I don't have thousands, so no one's going to want to sponsor me. But you'd be surprised. You just have to kind of figure out kind of where you're at, and, like, email companies and find brands that kind of align with you, products you use, products you'd be happy promoting. And don't, like I said earlier, don't take everything, because I feel like that kind of diminishes. One thing that I haven't done is, like, taken loads of sponsorships and done loads of sponsored things, because I don't want, when I do get sponsored by something, I want it to mean something to me, but also then people can trust that what I'm saying is genuine and not just he's being paid to say it.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think is super important, because, like, if people then know, like, you know, I'm not going to promote every single product on the market, then when I do promote a product, they'll know that it's a product that I love using, and then
Yeah.
I can, and I'll always be truthful about what it is.
I don't think
That's why it's always good
Go on,
to.
Kevin.
Sorry, I was
No,
just
go
gonna say.
on.
That's why it's
No,
always good
Crim,
to
talk
like.
more. I've listened towards you.
It's always good to like cold email or just reach out to your brands that you actually enjoy using, because a lot of them don't have the resources to reach out into the influencer marketing sector. They're quite expensive to look at, like, or to hire an influencer marketing agency. It's expensive, and these agencies, they will have lists of content creators that they go back to with these brands. But when you reach out yourself, you're putting yourself first, and you're making your own you're making your own name known without the help of these influencer marketing agencies.
Yep.
And so the thing is, I'm about to give you some inside info. I work in marketing, so there was one point on one project where we did have to reach into influencer marketing. So we had a conversation with someone who works in like the Twitch sponsorship section. And one of the things that they said was that what a lot of brands are looking for now is not the concurrent viewership, but actually how many people click onto your stream. So how many
Unique viewers.
unique viewers, yeah.
unique viewers you have. Yeah. And the statistic that Twitch gives out when they speak to brands is they say the average viewer will click onto a stream and watch for 6 seconds. That's what they say. They say that a viewer will watch for 6 seconds. So when a brand pays for a sponsorship, they're paying for 6 seconds for however many unique viewers the streamer has. If that makes sense. So if you're saying to potential brands, I have per stream this many unique viewers clicking onto my stream, the average viewership is 6 seconds long. So whatever goes on my stream, this many people will see it no matter what. And that's just one way to get your name out there for more sponsorships.
Yeah.
I would definitely the cold email it, like sending out emails is one thing that I didn't do enough of. And then the more I did it, the more I realized that, that it's not always fruitful, but you'll kind of generate opportunities. And if not, people might remember the name and kind of put you down for future opportunities. Or if you do have an opportunity, be professional, and at the end, and be yourself. And, if future opportunities come up, they might go, oh, remember that one guy we had, I don't know, 6 months ago who did that thing? He'd be good for this. Like, we'd love to get him involved with this. And then you get returning opportunities. And it shouldn't be that way, but it's kind of like that way with the Creator Network. Like, once you're in the EA Creator Network and you're in like the Apex, once you get invited to like a couple of things, if your video and if you perform like kind of to a certain standard and they're happy with the content you're making and stuff like that, like then you start to get more opportunities from them. I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be kind of random. But at the same time, I also think, like for me personally, I would hate if it was random. Like, because there's nothing you'd like consistent knowing that something's coming your way, as opposed to going, oh, I wonder if this month I'm going to get this. It's nice to know what's coming up.
But if you're making like better content, then you should have that opportunity over someone who just isn't making anything at all, or just does it every now and then. Do you know what I mean? You should have that opportunity of going, okay, like, we're going to give this person this because they got this amount of views on the video, or they produced this content and we really like the way they worded it or the way they did it. But just going back to the brand thing, I don't know if it's happened to you. It's happened to me a few times where a company will email you, you ignore the email, they'll email you again. You ignore the email, they'll email you again. And then they'll stop, and then they'll stop, and then they'll come back a few months later and they go off another social media platform's username. So I know it's like that because some of my usernames are different on different platforms. So for Instagram it's different, just because their names are taken, or Twitter's different to my Twitch or whatever. They'll use that username in the email, so you just know that they're like coming back with something, and you've said to them, like I've said to a company before, no, I'm not looking to work at a minute, like maybe in the future potentially. They're like, cool, that's fine, no worries, we'll keep you like on tabs or whatever. They won't say anything, and then they'll email you again they'll say like, hi Waldy, but they'll do like your Instagram name or like your Twitter name, and you know that then it's not genuine because they're just reaching out to completely anybody that wants to, you know, get involved, or anyone that wants to work with them, and it's not like directly just you. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure you get loads of emails that you just sort of go, oh yeah, what are they even talking about? Yeah, like it's just nonsense. But you'll get that one email, and then they're like, right, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we want. This is how we're gonna do it. This is what we want you to do. You know, if it's a paid opportunity, this is how much we're gonna pay you. And then you're like, right, okay, now I can sort of take the steps of going into them, rather than being like, you know, hi, we want you to do this, and then you're like, okay, well, what do I get out of this then? Do you know what I mean? Where's the opportunity?
Have you had that game? There's a game company at the moment. They've got a game coming out. I think it's like crypto-powered game, like NFTs and stuff. Honestly, they've been emailing me for probably like a year and a half, and I haven't responded to one email. But they're so persistent, and I know a few creators have had similar emails, DMs. Like they've DM'd me. They've sent me probably like close to like 15 emails, but then they've also sent me like multiple DMs, and I just keep ignoring them. But they keep emailing me, and they keep emailing me, and they keep DMing me. And it's like, if I was interested, I would have responded by now. And I don't even like, if the offer's good, then I'll respond. Like even if it's like, if it's not something I want to do, but the offer's good, I might respond. Like, offer's great, but it doesn't really align with what I want to do, I'll respond. But if it's something I don't want to do, and also the offer you're offering me is like, hey, play our game on stream for 2 hours and we're going to give you nothing. And I'm like, first of all, the game doesn't even interest me. But you keep hounding me, and that's going to make me less likely to respond to you.
Yeah, definitely. I think
like, less likely. And I was also just going to say, in terms of like the emailing companies, like, and like with what Quint was saying with marketing, like they don't have, like these big companies might not have, or even not even big companies, like the medium-sized companies might not have the budget to like get like marketing teams to look for creators. So like if you are, like, unless for example Elgato or Nvidia or AMD, or you know, like they're pretty big companies, but let's say they're not looking specifically for creators, there's no harm in like sending an email and being like, do you know what, I love using your products, or even better than that, like, if it's something you genuinely love, like say for example, you know, you love Logitech, right? You're always wearing the headset on stream. You can just send them, like tag them, like whenever you go live, like you can be like, you know, going live, blah, 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 and tag them in your thing, and they'll see you wearing the headset. And then after like 6 months, they might finally see it. Someone might come across it and be like, oh, this guy likes our product. Let's get in contact with him. And then they'll actually contact you. And that actually happened with me. Because I was constantly using a product that I just liked, and I was promoting it because it was a product that people always go, oh, like, do you like your headset? Like, yeah, I love my headset. Like, you know, what is it? That's Logitech. And then they reached out and were like, yo, do you want to do like an affiliate? Do you want to partner up with us? I was like, yeah, why not? Like, and that's something that happened because I wasn't posting and tagging them, but I was streaming and using the product, and they must have come across my clips or my stream somehow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easy to sort of promote it because you know that you've used it. That sort of goes back to what you were saying about you don't want to just be the person who's just going with anything you don't promote. Like, I'm sure you've had loads of them where they're like, oh, would you want to be affiliate with us, or do you want to do this? And you're like, well, I don't really use that product, or I don't really do what you were asking me to do, so I don't really want to do that because it's just not like something that's in line with my community, you know? Like, you sort of have to take your community into that like email as well, rather than it just being like, right, okay, you know, we're gonna give you this, we know you don't use it or whatever, but we're gonna want you to do this for us. And then you go, right, you got to promote it to your community, but your community reflects you. So if you're promoting something that you don't use, your community is more than likely not going to use it. You might get one or two that might use it, or, you know, completely different or whatever it is, but the majority of the time people are not really gonna like get on board with it.
Yeah, I see a lot of people as well, like falling, and I think they're ridiculous, but you know, there's Stream Element sponsorships, like HelloFresh and Raid Shadow Legends, and you know, all these other different millions of things that get sent to your emails. Like, I see so many content creators, like smaller than myself, some larger than myself, like taking every single opportunity because they're like, oh, I need sponsorships, I need to generate money. But like, the likelihood of you generating money from those campaigns is so small because it's not guaranteed. Like, they might say something like, oh, get 50 people to level 10, complete the tutorial, and then we'll pay you out X amount. If you don't get the 50 people, you're not getting paid nothing. and then you just sat there and promoted that
Promote the
game for
game,
2 weeks
Yeah.
for free. And you've spent, again, it comes back to the time thing. You spent time trying to promote a product and you get nothing back for it. You've wasted time. You've not been paid for your time. So only do things that are going to be either worth your time or align with what you want to do. Don't just take things because they look good on paper, you know? Like you see it says like up to potential of £6,800 and you're like, oh my God, I could be rich. And it's like, yeah, if you have 100,000 views, maybe like you could get enough people to do it where you did get a nice amount of money. But when you're at that size anyway, you're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money for like actual campaigns anyway, where you're not getting paid £6,800 for 400 people playing a game.
Yeah, it is. It's one of them ones where you can get easily sucked into it, I think. Especially when you see, like you said, like, you know, you can earn this, you can do this, you can do that. Like, people think, oh my God, like, I can do that. But you sort of have to, like, turn it back a bit and think, right, would someone actually want to do this? Because their idea is, oh, you know, we get 10, 20, 30 people to get to level 50, then people are going to stay. But that's just doesn't how it works. It's not going to work like that. It generally... People are not going to do that. Like, it just isn't going to happen. I know, like, for example, me and you, Krim, have had a few conversations about how sometimes it is... I don't get how brands reach out to content creators and they don't know how to do it. Like, they don't know how to approach them. When really it's just simple. Like, it's not, like, a big thing. They just sort of have to study the person a little bit and, you know, get to know them. Doesn't mean, you know, sitting in a stream for hours, but it means knowing what game they play, knowing what sort of their community is like, knowing what sort of stuff they've done before, what brands they've partnered with, etc., etc.
You just have to show respect for the brand, respect for the craft, really.
100%.
Because a lot of brands, they don't respect the craft, and that's exactly why they take advantage of it, because a lot of people don't respect the fact that content is a real career path.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, you're a brand as well. Like, you know, you're not just a person. You are technically your brand as well as, you know, a human who's just getting contacted by a bigger company than you are. Like, it isn't just, oh, you know, you do this for us and you do that, you do this. You know, it's never going to work if it's just constantly just one-sided of someone doing something compared to what you're getting at on the outcome of that.
I think also as well, like, kind of encompassing everything is that, you know, if you want to try streaming, like, I would 100% encourage anyone and everyone to try streaming. Like, see if it's for you. Like, if you just think, like, debating it, like, give it a go. But definitely one thing that I always say to people is don't go in with the mindset that don't have expectations, in a sense. Like, go in, have fun. If you enjoy it, you know, then try to do something, but keep the expectations low, because it's such a, like, hard industry to, especially just streaming alone. Like, if we take content creation, everything is certainly gets even harder. But, like, definitely, like, be realistic with your aim. Doesn't mean don't dream, like, because, you know, everyone has dreams. Like, I have, like, big dreams, big aspirations, but I'm very realistic of where I'm at, what I'm doing, and you know, what point in my career I'm in, and I'm always quite harsh. Like, I don't feel like I'm at where I'm at, but at the same time, like, doesn't mean that I don't want to be, you know, hundreds of thousands of viewers, you know, streamer, you know, living comfortably from, you know, ad revenue and subs and stuff like that. But just, like, go in, and if you enjoy it, then do it. Because if you enjoy it, do it and have fun. But there's some people that go into it and think, okay, I'm going to go into this and earn money. And they're always the ones that falter and crumble, because when they don't start making money and they're not making what they thought they get, then they quit. And it's not genuine. You need to do it for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I think that's a major thing as well. I think you can easily, like, see through people, like, when they're just doing it for a certain reason, like you say, money. I think it's very easy to see someone who is genuinely just doing it because they love it, or someone who's just doing it because they seen, like, this streamer do really well, and, you know, they think, okay, well, if they can do it, why can't I? Like, you're never gonna. You sort of have to build yourself. Like, you can't really compare yourself to people. But that's one of the hardest things. Of course, it is. Like, you're always gonna, like, with analytics, it's numbers, natural, whatever. Yeah. You're always gonna compare yourself to someone because you think, oh, okay, well, they've done it. Like, maybe I could do that, or, oh, it's annoying that this person or is doing really well, and, like, well, you know, I really want to do that sort of thing. But if you're not genuine, you're just gonna take that as anger and then be like, right, why the fuck is this person doing that well then? Like, they don't even deserve it. I know that I'm better than them. Like, I know that I'm this, that, and that, you know. Whereas, if you're actually genuine, you think, oh, okay, that's sick. That person's done amazing. Like, what the hell? Like, that's so good for them. And then you think, right, okay, now what do I do to try and get to where that person is, or, you know, even beyond that person or whatever. But like you said, if people are just in it for money, I don't ever see it going, unless you're doing some sort of like out there content. Like we spoke about this on the last episode, Crimp, about people that just do content for like clicks, like just, you know, all these streamers that just do all these IRL streams and stuff like that. Like, that's obviously going to do well because people are just, I don't know, it's something different, isn't it? But when you're doing one sort of like path, like Apex, for example, it's very hard to then get up to that, like to keep growing and growing and growing. You sort of have to find your own sort of niche in what you're doing in that area, you know?
Yeah. I think as well, like you were just saying just then, in regards to like being happy for other people, like that is one of the main things that I judge somebody off of, like, is like, because I'm one of those people, like, I'll always be happy for people like that are doing well. But some people you come across, like when you can see people who struggle to be happy for you when you're doing well and congratulate you and stuff, and they're almost like angry, like that they didn't get the opportunity, that changes how I view somebody. Because then I'm like, well, why couldn't you have been like the Apex Community Cup recently, right? Like you, there was another streamer as well, another big UK Apex streamer who you know, people like weren't picked, right? But you both were like, you know, bit gutted and not picked, but I'm buzzing for you, like, you know, I'm really happy for you, and that comes across great, you know, like, because if I was in your shoes, yeah, I'd be gutted I wasn't picked, but at the same time, I'd be happy you got the opportunity, especially with it being the first of potentially many. So you'd be happy, you'd be like, okay, yeah, it's great, like, I'm glad they're actually doing something for the UK, getting put on. But instead, some people go down the route of, why didn't get picked? Why did my friend not get picked? Why? And instead of then going, and these are like people who, you know, I knew pretty well, and instead of them having that and also being like, congratulations, they're almost like, well, how did you get picked? Like, why were you picked? And then I'm like, well, it's just random. I just got sent an email and oh, well, why are they picking other people who aren't in Apex? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. And they can't be happy for you at the same time as being upset, or, you know, being, you know, feeling like they're a bit disappointed. But because of not being able to do both, it comes across like there's no like it's not genuine.
Not genuine.
It changes the way that you view those people. Yeah. And then I see those people, and then I just start to distance myself, because I'm like, how can you talk to me about something that you know that I'm involved in and show displeasure and disappointment for it, but at the same time not be happy that, because especially if they're from the UK as well, because I'm like, you know, we're all together, like, you know, it's like if one person gets invited, next time more people might get invited, and do you know what I mean? And yeah,
it's just a start off thing, isn't it? Especially with that, it was just the first one. Of course, you're going to be disappointed because you want to, you know, if you are a streamer or whatever you do, you want to like grow and you want to, you know, be involved in these things. But there is a line of being like, you know, I'm angry. I'm not going to now go and take all my anger out on this person because they got invited, because, you know, you didn't ask to be invited. You just got invited and you were like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? It's some people.
It's that expectation thing. It's that expectation thing as well. Is like people have an expectation. Like they're like, oh, well, if you got picked, how did I not get selected? Like I expect to be.
It's entitlement.
Yeah, definitely.
Entitlement. Yeah, that sense of entitlement. Like we're pretty similar in terms of sizes and whatever. How comes I didn't get picked, instead of being like, God, I didn't get picked, but congratulations, that's huge. Like, that's massive. Hopefully I get picked next time. And they don't do that.
Yeah, that entitlement is such a curse, and it's also, I feel like one of the things that I read actually, and I can't remember which book it is, but they were talking about something called like abundance mindset, which is it's such an issue in a path like content, because a lot of people don't have abundance mindset. What a lot of people have is like a limited opportunity mindset. So there's like a small people believe that there's a small pool of opportunities, and only a few people will be able to reach that. So what happens is that every opportunity that passes them by, they'll think that was the last one I'm ever going to see. I'm not going to see another one for months or maybe years. And that's because they don't have that abundance mindset, where they don't see that there are so many opportunities that they could be going for. And yeah, it leads to that entitlement as well, where they're just like, okay, well, that opportunity I should have been in on.
Yeah. And they don't think like, oh, maybe there'll be future opportunities. I should probably not talk shit. I should probably actually just like, be grateful that people in and around me have been picked, and maybe my time will come. They have a different mindset of, well, I didn't get picked this time. What the fuck? Where's my invite? And it just, it doesn't look good.
No, it definitely doesn't look good. I think that it is hard for people to think that, like, some people anyway, to sort of get out of that mindset of, well, I do this, I do that, why aren't I invited? But, you're not owed anything. You're literally not owed anything. Like, you just have to be grateful that when these things do come around, you're like, yeah, okay, of course I do. Like, that's sick that I got invited to this, or that's unbelievable. Like, I'm so happy. But going off the back of, I haven't been invited, I'm now going to take all my anger out on everyone else around me, including the company that's not invited me, or whatever it is, it just doesn't look good. Yeah, you just look like, you just come across as like a dick, basically.
Then, like, also as well, like, when they were that Apex Community Cup, when they posted the tweet and like who's picked, people were showing their like displeasure like vocally in the comments underneath the tweet, and I was thinking of like, are you aware of like what you're doing, how that probably means that you're less likely to be involved in the future? Like, I know you're upset, but you don't need to go and then talk shit underneath the post and be like, why not everyone here plays Apex? Where's the love for the Apex community? Like, we get it. Like, we all get it. And understand. But if you're posting that underneath the post, when Apex go to look for creators, they're not going to go, oh, this person was super happy that we spent a load of money and put a £50,000 prize pool on the line. We should invite them. Like, they're not going to do that. They're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, 100%.
That makes sense.
They definitely are. They definitely are. I think that, like, there's a fine line between, being disappointed and being like, oh, okay, like, no, I didn't get invited to this, or, I didn't get to do this, or whatever. Like, I'm a bit upset about it. Like, that's it. Compared to being disappointed and then flipping that into, well, this is not on. Like, why have I not been able to do this, or why have I not been invited to do that? Like, you sort of have to just take your disappointment and just sort of like bottle it. Like, just keep it in. You can't like just go on a massive spurt about, oh, I've done this, I have this, I have that. Like, some people are going to be disappointed. It's just it happens. Like, they can't invite everyone, or there is only a certain limited amount of numbers, and you just have to
suck it up. Go next.
You just have to. That's just
Move
what
on.
content is. Yeah. You've gone to the next one.
Missed out on so many opportunities where I'm like, oh, gutted I didn't get picked for that, but I don't kick up a fuss and start throwing my toys out.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good.
There'll be more. There'll be opportunities in the future, and if not, I'll craft an opportunity. I'll find something. But people just have a very like limited, like Crimp was saying, that limited just mindset. That kind of, there's not going to be anything coming up, and I need to be involved in this one right now.
Yeah, there's always another thing coming. But that's just content in it. Like, just in general, you never know what's going to happen. Like, you just don't. You just never know what's going to come next.
No, you don't at all. It comes out of nowhere. Like, it really does. Like, you like I literally said, like, that first year of full-time streaming, I think I did 2 sponsored streams in that year. I think I did PGA Tour, that 2K23 game, the sponsor stream for that, 2 sponsored streams, and then I did an AMD sponsored stream, the Kill Race on Apex. And I don't think I had any more sponsorships for the rest of that year. And I was just like, well, I mean, it's better than I've done before. Like, I'm actually, I'm getting, obviously, and the mobile game on, but it wasn't like consistent sponsorships. And then you fast forward like 4 or 5 months later, my stream hadn't really grown a load. Like, I didn't feel like, I'd hit into a different stratosphere where I was definitely going to get opportunities. And then all of a sudden, I get invited by EA and WD Black to come work at LGS. And then I got invited to the EA, then I was in the EA Creator Network that month. And then I got an opportunity. And then after that, I got an opportunity for sponsored content for the season after. And then the season after. And then this season, I've done short form content for EA. And that's like 3 seasons in a row from just Apex. And obviously then the Apex UK Community Cup as well, which EA were also involved, where I've got opportunities consistently, whereas the year before I'd had like 2 or 3 sporadic ones. And all it takes is like that little one changing moment to then get that consistency.
Yeah, you get a few more things come your way because they know you from certain things. And like, I feel like your face is sometimes more worth than like what you're doing in terms of, you know, if
cheers,
you're
mate.
doing, no, not
Cheers,
your face,
cheers.
mate. Anything
Cheers,
but
mate,
your
cheers.
face. But
Thank
I
you,
mean,
mate,
like,
Tom.
getting your face out there then pushes you around to the people being like, oh, you know, you know, like, oh, this person was at this event, or, you know, this person did this, or this brand, or I really like the way they did that. Then they want to come and contact you rather than it just being like, you know, I did one big thing for someone, then no one wants to talk to me again. It's sort of, you know, if you do a few things here and there, it sort of gets your name around a bit, and you can sort of work off that, you know. But yeah.
But this is a great segue into part 2.
Oh yeah,
For the YouTubes.
we'll do part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've got a few questions.
Lucas,
But...
you've just given me so much content. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, mate.